And if you're not learning how to persuade, you're already falling behind. In the last 5 years, I've helped hundreds of students develop their ability to communicate and to refine their persuasion. And I'm here to unpack one aspect of persuasion that you might not be familiar with. Now, before we go any further, as you would have noticed, this is a new channel, and I'm sure you're skeptical, rightfully so. So I'm going to ask a favor. If this video successfully helps you to build your persuasion, I'm going to ask you if you could drop a like, or a comment, or even share it with someone else who may benefit. Let's launch right in. Now, persuasion isn't just for speeches or sales pitches. It's how you sell yourself and your own goals. It may sound a little dramatic, but imagine every time you faced resistance, both internally and externally, and imagine you had the tools to overcome it, not just with brute force, but with understanding. Now that leads us to the next question. What actually is persuasion and how does it work? Now, over 2,000 years ago, a Greek philosopher by the name of Aristotle gave us the most practical formula ever created for influencing others. He called it the Art of Persuasion, and he developed this technique through observing persuasion within Parliament during that time period. Now, he identified three core aspects of persuasion, which he labeled ethos, and I don't want you to confuse this ethos with the modern day definition of spirit. The Greek definition for ethos is that of credibility, which more closely defines your character and how other people perceive your character. And that means, do people trust you based on how you appear and sound? Credibility is built through authenticity, integrity, and clarity, but it's also heavily influenced by qualification. And I guess as proof of my own credibility, a student for 25 years completed a PhD in biomedical science, during which I had the unique opportunity to master a whole bunch of soft skills. Now in 2025, your credibility is your main currency. Now aside from ethos, there was also pathos, which is emotion. Now this isn't just the emotion that you might feel as the speaker. This is the emotion that you would induce within your audience through your words. You can't reason someone into a decision that they don't feel ready to make. Now, pathos makes your message land in the heart, not just in the mind. And you likely would have picked up on advertising quite heavily using pathos to influence our purchasing decisions. It's really effective from that regard. Now, one more, which is logos, which translates to logic in the modern age. Even with emotion being an incredibly powerful driver of purchasing decisions, now humans have a natural tendency to look for logic within everything that we see around us. Usually we're quite good at this as well. If the logic doesn't add up, we immediately lose trust in the person speaking. So we've got to be mindful of this. Now, as a quick example, logos was how Steve Jobs made innovation sound inevitable. But he also managed to combine elements of pathos, making us feel for the product and the brand. And hence, that's why Apple is such a successful company in the modern age. But here's where things get interesting. Now, there's two additional components that Aristotle never explicitly mentioned, but he constantly inferred through his writing. And I've used Greek terms to capture these a little bit more clearly. The first of these terms is telos. Telos translates to purpose. And again, this is the purpose of you as the speaker. It really asks, why are you trying to persuade in the first place? Now, we have to be mindful that other people will very quickly pick up your purpose. And if that purpose is ingenuine, you'll also lose their trust. So telos is alignment. You don't just talk the talk, you speak to change something. The last critical component from Aristotle's work would be Kairos. Now, there's no direct translation in the English language for Kairos, but I'm going to use two words that you know well, which is setting as well as timing. Now, it's really important to consider the perspective of the audience in the here and now when you're trying to persuade. Now, even the most incredible delivery placed at the wrong time will fail to persuade. And I'm going to use an example here. In the early 2000s, Microsoft released something called the Pocket PC, and I guess that infers how old I am because I had one of these, and they were incredible. It was a stylus-capable, full-functioning keyboard running Windows. And at this point, that was groundbreaking, the coolest device ever. So that was the modern precursor to a smartphone. Now, it's curious because at the time, no one really cared. Very few picked up this device. A couple of years later, Steve Jobs releases the iPhone and it's revolutionary. It changed everything. I mean, it was more simplistic than the Pocket PC, curiously enough. So, Kairos, being able to take a message, consider what's happening in the world around us, and making sure your message has that in mind so that you can better resonate with your audience. Now, in 2025, timing might mean understanding your audience's attention span, emotional state, or even a cultural movement. Now, most people don't fail because they lack good ideas. They fail because they present those ideas with no purpose or at the wrong timing. Now, this raises a bigger question. Is persuasion just about influencing others, or can it help us master ourselves? Fast forward to modern psychology, you may be familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which gives us a framework for how people prioritize their actions, with there being a range of stages that we have to progress through in life, of which food and safety being the foundation of what we seek. Then we also seek our community and self-esteem, and eventually the highest calling would be self-actualization. Now, the top of the pyramid is something that we all chase: life's purpose. But here's the overlooked truth. Purpose without persuasion is a dream without oxygen. You must persuade yourself to keep going. Persuade your mind past doubt. You have to persuade others to believe in your mission. Now, this is where intrinsic, so inner drive, and extrinsic, or outer reward, motivation, collide. And persuasion is the bridge between them. You want to achieve your goals, right? Now, the best way that you can do that in the modern age is to hit subscribe. Yeah, it's a little bit cheesy. By now, you've probably figured out it's the logical thing to do. And I'm sure Aristotle would approve as well. Mid-video adverts aside, let's talk business. Persuasion has built empires. As an example, Oprah Winfrey built her empire on the basis of emotional resonance, or Pathos. Jeff Bezos, a master of logic-driven decisions. And then there's Elon Musk, who's generally unpredictable, yet he's heavily reliant on ethos-driven persuasion. Now, it is really tough when your credibility takes a blow, but he still has a phenomenal following. He can still use his influence to direct people's attention. Now, in advertising, persuasion isn't manipulation, it's alignment. It helps people connect with ideas that matter or resonate with them. In leadership, it's how visions become a shared mission. In entrepreneurship, it's how creators stand out from AI-generated noise. And let's not ignore the AI elephant in the room. As machines get smarter, humans need to get more persuasive. Not louder, but clearer, and more emotionally intelligent, and more purpose-driven. Now here's a quick little exercise. We'll call it the Kairos Challenge. Think of a message you've been meaning to share, maybe an idea, a pitch, or a proposal, and now ask, do you know your Telos? Do you have clarity of purpose? Is now the right Kairos? When should you share your idea? Timing is critical. You can make an amazing product, release it a couple of years before the world is ready, and see no dividends for the amazing idea. Now, I find myself using all 5 of these rhetorics on a daily basis, and I'm going to challenge you to try and do the same with your decision making. See it as guiding principles that can help you make better decisions in life. And there's no better time than the present to get started. Now, if you did enjoy that, consider subscribing as you reflect, refocus, and rewire the way you make your decisions. If you seek further information or guidance on this, by all means, check out my website, www.areteerga.com, where you'll find a treasure trove of information that can help you build your persuasion and other soft skills that are critical in the age of AI. Because in 2025 and beyond, he who speaks clearly leads.